The theater lights were still low when the soft murmur of the audience filled the air, a restless energy buzzing through every row. People shifted in their seats, some whispering, some checking their phones, others staring at the massive stage as if willing something extraordinary to happen. On a night like this, everyone expected talent, but no one truly knew what kind of moment they were about to witness. Backstage, a lone figure stood quietly, breathing slowly, eyes closed, hands trembling just slightly. His name was Siro-A, and though most people in the room had never heard it before, they were about to remember it for the rest of their lives. Siro-A had never been comfortable with noise before performing. Silence was his sanctuary, the place where memories lined up like shadows waiting to move. He rolled his shoulders gently, feeling the familiar tightness, the weight of years pressing against his spine. Dance had never been a choice for him. It was a language he learned before words, a way to survive when speaking felt impossible. Every movement he made carried fragments of his past, moments of pain, hope, anger, and quiet determination. Tonight, all of that would spill onto the stage. A production assistant peeked around the corner and gave him a nod. It was time. Siro-A opened his eyes and stepped forward, the noise of the theater growing louder with every step. As he emerged into the light, a ripple of curiosity passed through the audience. He didn't look like what many expected. No flashy costume, no exaggerated confidence. Just simple clothing, dark tones, clean lines, as if he wanted nothing to distract from the movement itself. He walked to the center of the stage and stopped, standing perfectly still. The judges watched him carefully. Simon leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, eyes sharp. He had seen thousands of auditions, dancers from all over the world, each claiming to be different. He wasn't easily impressed anymore. Heidi smiled gently, sensing a quiet intensity. Sophia tilted her head, intrigued, while Howie leaned forward slightly, as if trying to read the story written on the performer's face. The host finished the introduction, and the room fell into a hush so deep it felt like the air itself was holding its breath. The music didn't start immediately. For a brief moment, there was only silence. Then a single, low note emerged, barely audible, vibrating through the floor. Siro-A's fingers twitched. His chest rose and fell. Slowly, deliberately, his body began to move, not with explosive energy, but with restraint. His first step was small, almost hesitant, as if he were stepping into a memory he hadn't visited in years. As the music built, his movements grew more defined. Each gesture was precise, controlled, yet filled with emotion. He twisted his torso, arms slicing through the air, then pulled inward, clutching at his chest as if trying to hold something together. The audience leaned forward, drawn in by the raw honesty of his motion. This wasn't just choreography, it was confession. The beat dropped, and suddenly the stage felt alive. Siro-A exploded into motion, spins sharp and fast, feet striking the floor with purpose. His body seemed to defy gravity, leaping and landing with effortless control. Yet even in the most powerful moments, there was vulnerability. His face told a story words never could. Eyes wide with longing, jaw clenched with determination, brows furrowed in pain and release. Flashbacks ran through his mind as he danced. A small room with cracked walls. Music playing softly from an old speaker. Practicing in secret, afraid of judgment, afraid of failure. Being told to stop, to be realistic, to choose a safer path. The loneliness of believing in something no one else could see. All of it fueled his movement, turning fear into force. The music shifted again, slowing, becoming haunting and melodic. Siro-A's movements softened. He lowered himself to the floor, sliding, rolling, reaching upward as if searching for something just out of reach. The lights dimmed slightly, casting long shadows that mirrored his struggle. In the audience, some people had their hands over their mouths. Others blinked rapidly, fighting back tears they didn't expect to feel from a dance. On the judges' panel, the atmosphere changed. Simon sat forward now, elbows on his knees, eyes locked on the stage. His expression, usually guarded, had softened. Heidi's lips parted in awe. Sophia whispered something under her breath, shaking her head in disbelief. Howie's eyes glistened, his smile both amazed and emotional. When the beat returned, it came with a force that shook the room. Siro-A rose to his feet in one fluid motion, launching into a sequence so fast and complex it seemed impossible. His body snapped and flowed at the same time, sharp angles melting into smooth waves. He moved like someone breaking free from invisible chains, every jump higher, every turn more fearless than the last. The audience erupted into applause mid-performance, something that rarely happened. But Siro-A didn't break focus. He danced through the noise, through the cheers, completely immersed in the moment. This was his truth, and nothing else existed. As the music reached its climax, Siro-A gave everything he had left. A final series of spins, a powerful leap, and then, suddenly, stillness. He dropped to his knees, head bowed, chest heaving. The last note echoed through the theater, fading into silence. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the room exploded. The audience jumped to their feet, applause roaring like thunder. People screamed, whistled, clapped until their hands hurt. Some hugged strangers beside them, united by the emotion they had just experienced. Siro-A stayed where he was for a moment, overwhelmed, tears streaming down his face. He had poured his soul onto that stage, and now it was out of his hands. The judges stood as well. Simon was the last to rise, but when he did, his expression said everything. He walked toward the edge of the desk, clapping slowly at first, then faster. When the noise finally died down enough for him to speak, he took a breath. "I've seen a lot of dancers," he said, his voice steady but sincere. "But that wasn't just dance. That was art. That was pain, hope, and truth all in one. You didn't come here to show off. You came here to say something. And we all heard it." The crowd cheered again. Siro-A looked up, stunned, wiping his face with the back of his hand. Heidi spoke next, her voice warm. "I couldn't take my eyes off you for a second. Every move meant something. You made us feel what you were feeling, and that is so rare. You are unforgettable." Sophia nodded, smiling through tears. "I didn't understand every step, but I understood every emotion. You told your story so beautifully. This is why this show exists." Howie leaned forward, hands clasped. "I always say this, but tonight it really feels true. This is one of those moments people will talk about for years. You changed the room. You changed us." Siro-A covered his mouth, shaking his head in disbelief. He tried to speak, but no words came out. The host stepped in, smiling knowingly. "Judges, I feel like there's something missing." The crowd began to buzz, a familiar anticipation rising. Simon glanced to the side, then back at the dancer. For a moment, he hesitated, as if weighing something heavy. Then he stood up, turned, and reached for the golden buzzer. Time seemed to slow. Siro-A's eyes widened. The audience screamed as one. Simon pressed the button. Golden. Confetti burst from above, raining down like sunlight made solid. The music swelled, triumphant and overwhelming. Siro-A collapsed to the floor again, this time laughing and crying at once, hands over his face as the golden light surrounded him. The judges rushed onto the stage, hugging him, patting his back, shouting congratulations over the roar of the crowd. The audience chanted his name, over and over, turning it into a rhythm of its own. Siro-A stood slowly, looking around in disbelief as the gold continued to fall. He reached out, catching a piece in his hand, as if to prove to himself that this was real. In that moment, every late night, every doubt, every sacrifice felt worth it. He wasn't just a dancer anymore. He was a symbol of what happens when someone refuses to give up on their voice, even when the world tells them to be quiet. As the confetti settled and the cheers continued, Siro-A took one last look at the stage, committing every detail to memory. This was only the beginning, but it was a beginning he would never forget. And neither would anyone who witnessed the night Siro-A brought the house down with an unforgettable dance.